Ciao guys, welcome back to the channel. Fabrizio Romano here, as always, to keep you posted on the transfer market. And we have a breaking news video. Yes, because it's late night here in Europe, but updates are always here for you. And in this case, the breaking news is coming directly from Spain. Yes, because it's international break, it's time for the players to go with their national team and also to release some interviews, something that maybe usually they don't do in their own country, at their own club, because their own country, I mean, where they play. Because can happen that there are more restrictions sometimes with the clubs, then they can go with the national team, and in their own country, obviously, could be different, the management on the interviews and all the rest. And that's the case with Rodri, who is with the Spanish national team, gave and released an interview with Onda Cero, one of the most important radio stations in Spain about football and sports in general, and spoke about Real Madrid. If you're a friend of the channel, you know I told you, Real Madrid are monitoring the Rodri situation, contract situation at Manchester City. I told you several times, and I always added, I will tell you more on Rodri very soon. And I'm still gonna do that, because I will tell you some details of this story quite soon, I think in the next couple of days. But today, there is the breaking news to release on Rodri, because Rodri speaks about Real Madrid and says really important things. First of all, he says, I have one more year on my contract at Manchester City. At some point, we will have to talk. Then he added, I would like to return to Spain. I would like to return to La Liga. It's something it's in my mind, Rodri said, and that's already important. Then he says, I love the Premier League. The competition there is in the Premier League is fantastic, but La Liga return is something I want to do. Then he says, I'm still very happy here in England, obviously. But then the question, you used to play for Atletico Madrid. Would you play for Real Madrid? And Rodri replied, well, you cannot say no to the best clubs in the world, and the fact that I played for Atletico Madrid doesn't mean that I can't play for Real Madrid. Other players did the same, and that's the case, for example, with Thibaut Courtois and others. So Rodri made very clear that his doors for Real Madrid are not closed at all. And that's an important point. It's an important statement because it's done in public. It's done in a video interview. So you can't stop everything tomorrow and say, I didn't say this word, I didn't say this sentence, I didn't say this, it was wrong. There is a video. There is proof. It's confirmed. It's an official interview by Rodri opening doors to a Real Madrid move. And that's really important. Obviously, we're talking about the Ballon d'Or. And about the Ballon d'Or, someone said in the recent weeks when I was reporting also about this possibility, Real Madrid for the future, the answer of some Real Madrid people, Manchester City, Real Madrid fans, people in football was, yeah, but you remember what happened for the Ballon d'Or, Rodri against Vinícius. When Vinícius goes to Manchester, you can feel this competition playing against Man City. Well, Rodri says, in this interview, and that's also really important, people tried to put me against Vinícius Jr., but I don't have any problem with Vini. It's not me or anyone else deciding who wins the Ballon d'Or. It's different people, not me, not Vini. And he added, I have great respect for Vinícius Jr. So in this interview, Rodri says, we have to consider the contract situation. Rodri says, I want to return to Spain at some point of my career. Rodri says, I'm open to joining Real Madrid. And Rodri says, I don't have any problem with Vinícius. So the message coming from Rodri looks quite clear. I want to add some context to this in order to tell you more in the next days about the situation around this deal. But just to add some context, Real Madrid, and I see this in general, is not just for the Rodri case, but in general, Real Madrid really appreciate when players go quite strong, whether it's private or whether it's public, to their club and make clear that they want to go to Real Madrid. Real Madrid want to feel this kind of exposure. Real Madrid want to feel that the player really wants to make the move. Real Madrid love when this is happening, like it happened with Trent Alexander-Arnold and with other players, with someone in private, with someone with a public interview. But Real Madrid really appreciate when this Madridismo feeling comes out. And in this case, Rodri didn't go and say, let me go to Real Madrid. But Rodri said, I'm not closed to Real Madrid move. And to say that in public, with 1 year left on his contract, well, it's an important statement. Then, on this Rodri story, one more thing to add before I tell you everything in the next days on the negotiation on the story. It's about Florentino Pérez. Florentino Pérez, according to my information, really appreciates Rodri as a top player, really appreciates the style of Rodri, but also, according to my information, Florentino Pérez would like to see more Spanish players at Real Madrid. And so, to see these youngsters who are appearing in the first team, Thiago Peters and all the others, it's a beautiful news, obviously, for Real Madrid, for La Fábrica, for their academy, but also for the president, Florentino Pérez, who has this special passion for the opportunity to add more Spanish players to the squad. Obviously, Rodri is not a young player, he's a Ballon d'Or winner, he's a top player, an historical player, I would say, for what he did at Manchester City and with the Spanish national team. So this is also a factor. Then there is the financial element. And on this, I will tell you more to understand, okay, this is the statement, this is the situation, but what's gonna happen next? For sure, saying those words also on Vinícius Jr., it's an important positioning by Rodri. Because that Vinícius story was always in the mix when there was this Rodri Real Madrid topic. And so it was always, yes, but what happens with Vinícius? Yes, but remember what happened for the Ballon d'Or. Yes, but he won the Ballon d'Or and Vinícius' story was crazy. Yes, but Real Madrid said we will not go to the Ballon d'Or gala because Rodri is winning. So that story was always around, and Rodri, with a public interview, now stops all the reports about any problem between him and Vini Jr. So now, let's see what's going to happen next. But for sure, important statements by Rodri. Again, I remind to you, 1 year left on his contract, 2027 at Manchester City. Then, guys, on just a quick one on Casemiro. Many questions on Casemiro. At the moment, guys, from Manchester United, 0 messages to Casemiro saying about the possibility of staying for 1 more season. So despite Casemiro performing in a fantastic way, Man United didn't tell Casemiro or his agents, please stay 1 more season. In case this happens, I will let you know, because as of today, Casemiro has not signed with any other club, so Casemiro remains a free agent and can decide whatever he wants. So if Man United want to tempt Casemiro, they still have a chance, but so far they didn't do that. Then, it's true, as reported by The Athletic, that there are calls from the MLS for Casemiro. There are MLS clubs really interested. I'm told that also European and Saudi clubs are calling Casemiro. From Saudi, it was already last summer and 2 years ago. So from Saudi, there is always interest in Casemiro. From MLS is fresh interest. From Europe, there are clubs calling, but the salary of Casemiro could be an issue for several European clubs. A Real Madrid return, someone asking me, yes, Real Madrid need a midfield, why not signing Casemiro, one last dance? I'm not aware of any contact. So let's see what's going to happen, but for sure, Casemiro is still expected to leave Manchester United on a free, despite fantastic performances, despite being a crucial player, in this case, for Michael Carrick in this run for the Champions League. Guys, let me know your opinion. Here in comments, like this video, turn on the notification bell, subscribe to the channel. See you soon, here as every single day, with Fabrizio.